The Tanaka family home was shrouded in silence, a silence so profound it seemed to echo through the very walls of their modest dwelling. A silence woven from despair, a heavy blanket that smothered any remnants of joy or laughter that once filled the air. Mr. Tanaka clutched the last of his meager earnings, his shoulders slumped with defeat. Each coin felt like a weight, a reminder of the relentless struggle to provide for his family. His wife, Hanako, stared at the empty rice cooker, her eyes welling up. The sight of the barren kitchen was a daily torment, a stark reminder of their dire circumstances. Their two children, little Sakura and Kenji, sat quietly, their faces etched with a maturity beyond their years. They had learned too early the harsh realities of life, their innocence eroded by the constant hunger and uncertainty. They understood there was no food, no money, no hope. Days blurred into weeks, each one indistinguishable from the last, marked only by the gnawing emptiness in their stomachs. Each sunrise brought the same gnawing hunger, the same crushing weight of their poverty. The dawn, once a symbol of new beginnings, now only heralded another day of struggle and despair. Mr. Tanaka worked tirelessly, his calloused hands a testament to his struggle. Every day he toiled from dawn till dusk, hoping against hope that his efforts would yield enough to sustain his family. But fate, it seemed, had dealt them a cruel hand. No matter how hard he worked, the rewards were scant, and the burden of their plight grew heavier with each passing day. Hope, once a flickering flame, threatened to extinguish entirely. The Tanaka family clung to each other, their love the only light in the encroaching darkness as they faced an uncertain future. One afternoon, desperate and with nowhere else to turn, Mr. Tanaka stumbled upon a dusty pawn shop tucked away in a forgotten corner of the city. The shop's exterior was unassuming, almost blending into the background of the bustling street. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of old wood and forgotten memories, the shelves lined with items that seemed to whisper stories of their own. In his hand, he clutched a worn silver watch, the last gift from his grandfather. The watch was more than just a timepiece. It was a relic of his family's history, a symbol of the bond he shared with his grandfather. The silver had tarnished over the years, but the memories it held were still vivid and clear. Behind the counter stood the shopkeeper, a wizened old man with eyes that seemed to hold ancient secrets. His face was a map of wrinkles, each line telling a story of its own. He examined the watch with a practiced eye, his fingers tracing the intricate details. After a moment, he offered Mr. Tanaka a pittance for the watch, a sum so small it felt like an insult. Mr. Tanaka, his heart heavy with the weight of his decision, refused the offer. As he turned to leave, his gaze fell upon a peculiar jar, nestled amongst the forgotten trinkets on a dusty shelf. It was an oddity, standing out amidst the clutter of the shop. The jar seemed to beckon to him, its presence almost magnetic. The jar was made of obsidian, black as night, with strange symbols etched on its surface. The symbols seemed to glow faintly, as if imbued with some ancient magic. It was unlike anything Mr. Tanaka had ever seen before, and he felt an inexplicable pull towards it. The shopkeeper noticed his interest and named a price, surprisingly low for something so unique. It was almost as if the shopkeeper wanted to rid himself of the jar, as if it carried a burden he no longer wished to bear. Something about the jar called to Mr. Tanaka, a strange pull he couldn't explain. It was as if the jar held a secret, a promise of something more. He felt a connection to it, a sense of destiny intertwined with its mysterious allure. With a mixture of curiosity and desperation, he decided to use the money from the watch to buy the jar. It was a gamble, a leap of faith into the unknown. He handed over the money, feeling a strange sense of relief and anticipation. As he left the shop, the jar cradled in his hands, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had made a significant choice. It was a gamble, a desperate grasp at a solution he couldn't understand. Little did he know this peculiar jar would change his life in ways he could never have imagined. That night, Mr. Tanaka returned home with a sense of unease. He placed the jar on the mantel, its darkness a stark contrast to their meager belongings. The next morning, he woke with a start. His back ached less. He felt younger. He dismissed it as fatigue playing tricks on his mind. But as the days passed, the changes became undeniable. His wife's wrinkles seemed to fade. Sakura and Kenji were giggling like toddlers again. Fear crept into their hearts. The jar. It had to be the jar. They had more money now. Mr. Tanaka was getting younger, but so were his children. Their laughter, once a melody of joy, now echoed with a chilling undertone. The jar pulsed with an unseen energy. Each time Mr. Tanaka spent money, time seemed to rewind around them. Years melted away with every yen that left his hand. They were getting younger, healthier, but at what cost? The children, confused and frightened, clung to their fading memories. Sakura drew pictures of a life she barely remembered, her high school friends, her graduation ceremony. Kenji spoke of his dreams, vivid flashes of a future that was being erased. They were losing themselves, their identities dissolving with each passing day. The jar, once a beacon of hope, now loomed over them, a harbinger of their impending oblivion. Panic set in. Mr. Tanaka tried to destroy the jar, to break free from its sinister hold, but the obsidian was unyielding, impervious to his every attempt. He tried giving the jar away, throwing it away, burying it deep in the earth. It always returned, always. Their existence became a terrifying loop. They would earn money, grow younger, lose memories, and then, as the last yen slipped away, the cycle would reset. Each reset brought a fresh wave of terror. The joy of seeing their children young again was eclipsed by the horror of witnessing their lives rewind like a cursed film. They were prisoners in their own home, bound by the jar's insidious power. The truth hit them with the force of a tsunami. The jar wasn't a gift, it was a curse. It fed on their time, their experiences, their very essence. With each transaction, it siphoned away their life force, reversing their age but also erasing their past. They were trapped in a Faustian bargain, their youth bought at the cost of their memories, their identities. The realization was devastating. They could earn all the money in the world, but what was the point if they couldn't remember who they were? What was the point of a future if they were destined to forget their past? Their laughter died in their throats, replaced by a chilling silence. The inevitable finally arrived. The last of their money dwindled. Sakura and Kenji were now mere infants, their eyes wide with innocent curiosity, their laughter devoid of the fear that had haunted them. Mr. and Mrs. Tanaka clung to each other, their faces etched with the pain of losing their children again and again. As the last yen vanished, the jar pulsed with an eerie light. The world around them dissolved, their bodies regressing, memories fading like whispers in the wind. They were back to that fateful day, the day Mr. Tanaka, driven by desperation, walked into the pawn shop. He stood there, the silver watch heavy in his hand. A strange sense of déjà vu washed over him. He looked at the jar, a sense of dread gripping his heart. But why? He couldn't remember, he only knew he had to get away from it. He clutched the watch tighter and walked out of the shop, leaving the jar behind. Outside, the world felt different, familiar, yet alien. He couldn't shake off the feeling that something was terribly wrong. He walked home, his heart pounding in his chest. A fragment of memory flickered in his mind, a whisper of a name. Sakura, Kenji. Who were they? Mr. Tanaka entered his home. The familiar creak of the door echoed through the silent hallway. A sound that once brought comfort, but now felt strangely alien. He paused for a moment, taking in the surroundings that should have been second nature to him, yet felt like a distant memory. His wife, her face etched with worry, rushed to greet him. Her eyes, usually so full of life, were now clouded with concern and fear. She had been waiting, hoping, praying for his return, and now that he was here, she didn't know how to react. Relief flooded her eyes as she embraced him. The warmth of her touch was a stark contrast to the cold emptiness he felt inside. She held him tightly, as if afraid that letting go would mean losing him all over again. He felt a pang of something he couldn't quite place. Love? Familiarity? Or was it a sense of déjà vu? His mind was a whirlwind of emotions, each one more confusing than the last. He wanted to remember, to feel the connection he once had, but it was just out of reach. He looked at her, his mind a blank canvas. Who was this woman? She seemed so familiar, yet so distant. Her eyes searched his, looking for a spark of recognition, but found none. It was as if a veil had been drawn over his memories, leaving him in a fog of uncertainty. Why did her touch evoke such a profound sense of loss? It was as if he was mourning something he couldn't remember, a life that had slipped through his fingers like sand. Her touch was a reminder of what once was and what could never be again. The jar's curse was complete. The shattered pieces on the floor were a testament to their broken past, a past that had been erased by the cruel hands of time. Each fragment held a piece of their story, now lost forever. They were back to the beginning, stripped of their memories, their identities. The life they had built together was now a distant echo, a shadow of what once was. They were strangers in their own home, lost in a sea of forgotten moments, condemned to repeat the cycle, forever yearning for a past they could never grasp, a future forever out of reach. The weight of their lost memories hung heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the life they could never reclaim. Lost in the labyrinth of time, they were left with nothing but a chilling emptiness, a void where their lives once were. The walls of their home felt like the walls of a maze, trapping them in a never-ending cycle of loss and confusion. The cost of time, they realized, was everything. It had taken their past, their present, and their future, leaving them with nothing but the haunting memories of what once was. They were prisoners of time, forever lost in its labyrinth.